Alright, party people. Welcome back to the podcast, back to Tomboy Official. Spoiler alert. We're gonna be talking about this Whitney Houston movie. Is it called Dance with Somebody? It's on Netflix. It says it's the number one at the moment. Or one of the number one categories. But spoiler, there's a bit of LGBTness in there. LGBT plusness. And, you know, I guess maybe I can talk a little vaguely about, you know, LGBT people of color, you know, QPOC, you know, there are a lot of musicians I grew up listening to in the 90s, that they probably started their work in the 80s, but, you know, I'm pushing 40. I'm 39 right now, and, you know, there are a lot of musicians I grew up listening to that, you know, like, for a time frame, you know, I used to listen to, I don't know what the name of the show is. It was like the top countdown every morning, and it would come on in the mornings. I don't know what time, but it would be on MTV. I think there was one on BET as well. So way back, you know, this is like way back, when we still lived over near LAX, and this is like way back. So, you know, there used to be all these music video channels. I feel like I'm like describing something. I don't even know if it even exists anymore. But I grew up with, you know, a family that was pretty into TV. Like, we had, we were into TV, but it was like mostly because my dad was like heavy into sports, and so we usually had cable, or some kind of a box set up in every room, and it's, you know, then eventually we had DirecTV. I feel like at one point we had Dish. Now that this house, we're back to DirecTV. I don't really remember if we had Dish, but I know we had cable, and we had multiple bedrooms. At one point, you know, like my parents had, I'm only talking about when we lived in LA. My parents had their room. We had a combination of, like, I don't know how to explain it. So we used to have like 2 bedrooms other than my parents' room. One was to the right of the house, one was to the left of the house. The one to the left of the house was basically what the garage was. There was a full garage that had like a fireplace in there and everything. But that garage got cut before we even moved in. So when we moved into this house and my folks were renting it, I think they marketed it as a 3-bedroom, 1-bath. But basically the garage was cut short, and they put a wall up, the people who lived there before, to convert that. I guess it would have been technically a 2-car garage, but it was like a bedroom basically. Yeah, we got roaches real bad in that room. But I think it's because it was the garage basically, and they came in from like outdoors, and but I mean, that was was just part of how it was, you know. And it was, you know, the garage went back as far as, let me see, if you were to open the garage from the driveway, it would have been two, maybe like, because I remember we had some pallets in the back, like against the garage wall. So I think it would maybe be 2 pallets deep, as far as like the depth into the garage. So we didn't have a lot of space in the garage, and it was basically just storage. Like, there was just junk in there. It wasn't like anything that we would need to come back and like use, but it was stuff that like nobody wanted to throw it out. Or my folks at least didn't want to throw it out. And so when we first moved into that house, me and my brother shared the bedroom on the right. That bedroom also had a fireplace. But then connected to it, there was like a little office type room. So our bedroom had like a folding door with like these little wooden slats in it. I don't know what they're called, but these little pieces of wood. So it's like, for privacy, you could kind of shut the door, like, you know, slide it shut, but like it wasn't like a full door that you couldn't hear through or anything. So we had that bedroom. And then connected to that bedroom was like if you walked in from the hallway, you passed the little office space first before you walked in to our bedroom. And the little office space, usually my dad had like a desk set up there with a computer, printer, everything like that. That was the newer computer and printer. And then when I don't remember the timeline really too good, but when my sister was born, I think at one point me and my sister shared a bedroom, and I think at one point my sister's bedroom was that little office when she was really young, still in a crib, because I remember at one point having a crib in my room. And I don't know, I remember another point when me and my sister had the bedroom that was like the garage room. But I feel like my brother at one point, I think, maybe had that room to himself. I really don't remember, but I think my brother at one point had that garage room to himself. And me and my sister, like, I had the bedroom on the right, and then the little office space was where her crib was and her little bedroom. And I remember at one point she had a little bed, a small bed. I don't remember. This is just like so hard to remember. And then later on, I think we had 2 beds next to each other. Me and my sister were sharing that room, the other room, that had the fireplace and the garage. And in that room there was also a little office, like, but there was no door. It was like a partial wall, but like the walk-through space was just like an open space where you could have put up like a curtain or something. But I think at one point I put up these, you know how you have those beads that hang from the ceiling, kind of like from Spencer Gifts or Oz, and like Hot Topic and those types of places. They sell like that kind of like incense and all these kind of like glow in the dark things, and they had these like beads that you could like get for like your doorway. And I think I had something like that, because I remember I had my keyboard back there. At one point my dad had this old computer. I don't even know what it took. 2 floppy disks, like not the small ones, like the big, like black ones. One was, I guess, the operating system, and the other was whatever software you were going to run. And I remember the screen was like black and orange. I don't even remember like much about it. I only knew how to use like the Paint program. I think it had a word processor, a printer that had like this paper that you had to like rip off. It was like green and white paper or something. Like, I don't remember. Like, this is like so long ago, guys. And yeah, mentioning all that because there was a certain point where we got televisions in our bedrooms. And like we first had this really old television from probably like the 70s or 80s. Um, Eventually, uh, our living room, we got like a gigantic television, but it wasn't a flat screen. Like there were no flat screens back then. It was like a big box like television that took like multiple people to move, and like big speakers on the bottom. And so we had that, and then mostly we would watch music videos. Like that was one of my favorite things to watch: music videos, sports. I remember we would watch Cosby Show. We would watch It's a Different World. We would watch Star Trek. Those were kind of the shows I remember like watching as a kid. And then like we would watch like Nickelodeon. All that was one of my favorite shows. Like that Friday night when they started doing those like TGIF or whatever it was called, like the Friday night. I remember we used to watch TGIF, and then we also used to watch whatever Nickelodeon had on Friday nights that had like Are You Afraid of the Dark and that kind of stuff. And dude, this is like bringing me way back. I don't even remember all this stuff. This is so crazy. But yeah, I mean, I do always say, we weren't really a big TV family, but we did have TVs. And I remember, that old TV, I think, got moved to my parents' room. And they had this barrel. I don't know what was in the barrel, but it was like this hard cardboard barrel that had like metal rims on it. And we used to have these boards. I don't know what they were for. Like maybe like if you buy trains or something, you would get like a board. So we used to have these boards that we used to put down to play on. And I don't know where they came from, but we had this one board that we would that was heavier. It was like thick and heavy, and you could like put it down. I don't know if it's even called a board. They were maybe like 3 by 3 feet. One was thick. I don't know if it was metal or what the heck it was, but it looked like something you're supposed to put like a train on. I can't remember what we used it for, but we put the Christmas tree on it sometimes, and then I don't know. I really just don't know. But yeah, it was a board, and then like my parents had this like thinner wooden board that they put on top of that barrel, and that old TV was on there. And then I remember at one point, we got TVs in our bedrooms. I can't recall if they were new TVs or what, but both of the bedrooms, the one on the right and the one on the left, my folks also added TVs to our bedrooms. So when we moved, during like high school or so, when we moved to the other area closer to the beach, like we took those TVs with us. And I remember we all had TVs in our bedrooms. And at a certain point, mine broke. Mine broke sometime when we were living closer to the beach, where our house still is now. Like, we're not like on the beach. We're not like at beach property. Like, I have to, I usually drive there. I hardly ever walk there. It's probably like, you can walk there in less than an hour, but probably like 45 minutes or so. So it's like just enough distance that I'm like, I'm not gonna just walk there. Because usually I like to have my car in case I want to sit in the car, or like in case I want to go run an errand after or something. And I'm just lazy. And if I go to the beach and I like to walk around there, I don't want to walk around there and then walk back home. Like, but walking is important. But yeah, I just do have a little laziness about me with that. But yeah, so we would watch. We would watch television, and in the mornings before school, I specifically remember watching music videos a lot. But we were like getting ready for school, so that was kind of our motivation to like get up and get dressed, and like so that we could have breakfast. And then either, I don't know if we watched it while we were eating or while we were like packing our backpacks or what, but we would like to see what was gonna come up as number one. And there was one show that was on MTV that had like a little studio audience and some people on the stage as the audience. And I can't remember the guy who was leading it. If it was I don't even know if Carson Daly, I don't remember, but like if I see the face, I would recognize it. But it's someone who's older now. And I remember summers and spring breaks they would do like some kind of summer and spring break type things, but yeah, they always had this these shows on in the morning, these like countdown shows, and I would watch BET as well. Like there was one on BET as well. And back then, we used to have MTV, BET, VH1. But then I think once we got, I don't know if it was Dish or DirecTV or what, like we had like other channels. Like there was M2 and Much Music. I think they were Canadian. Don't quote me on that. M2 I think was like the other MTV. And I think there was another VH1, but I don't remember what it was called. But I think there was another VH1 that was either older stuff or newer stuff. I can't recall. But VH1 I think usually had like no hip hop for the most part. It had like country and kind of older music videos, and then they had like this pop-up video thing where they would have like different kind of like information going on, like little pop-up bubbles of like oh, did you know that this artist during this scene, they had to film it however many times because they kept laughing, or like, did you know that the dog in this music video was actually, this dog was a I don't know, like belonged to Ozzy Osbourne or some like random thing. Like they borrowed it for this video, or like, I don't know, I'm just making it up, but they would be like random facts about stuff in the video or stuff about the artist, or just something like on topic for whatever was in the video. And I used to like that. But yeah, like, so that's kind of the setup. I know that's like really lengthy, sorry. But that's kind of like the setup of how our house went from like where we kind of like had the bedrooms, and then we kind of got, once we got a little bit older, like my folks put TVs in our bedrooms, but also we weren't allowed to just like watch everything. We grew up with very particular things we were allowed to watch, but usually it was my dad who was the one who was like telling us, don't do this, don't do that. Like my mom was pretty open-minded, so when it came to like shows with like shows or movies, or even going to the movie theater and there was like violence or sexual content or like horror and stuff like that, like she likes movies with that kind of stuff, and so she's not like super strict about it. But I know on my dad's end, he's pretty strict over it, and he doesn't really consume that kind of content either. But then when you think of it, it's like, well, we had all the movie channels, and we were allowed to go to Blockbuster and rent movies and stuff like that, but they expected us to kind of like, so I kind of learned at a certain age that, if I want to watch certain stuff, I can't do it with my dad around. And he was working all the time anyway, so it's like we were usually able to just get away with watching whatever we wanted to watch. As far as like buying music, we would buy whatever music we wanted to buy, CDs, tapes, whatever. If it was parental advisory, like whatever, we would just kind of buy whatever we wanted. And I just kind of knew, like, okay, like, don't play it around them or whatever. And they didn't really like know, but it's like, say if they were in the kitchen cooking or something, you could tell what I was watching because I was in the kitchen, because like maybe my dad would be like in the kitchen cooking, and if I had the bedroom that was like where that garage was, it didn't for most of the time it didn't have like a solid door, and I don't know why this house was like this. Like it wasn't my parents who made it like this. Like it was just like the floor plan was weird, and so like, because I think they added on rooms, they just never put like full on doors. So that space that went from to the left, that you'd pass through the kitchen, and then you'd go down like 2 or 3 steps, and that would be the bedroom. But that was the garage one. The one where like it didn't look like a garage inside at all. Like it would get cold, it would get hot, like you could tell that like it was like made into a bedroom, but it had a fireplace in there too, and it had these like French doors that led to the backyard. And so like I liked that room because it was pretty cool. You could like open up the doors in the back. It was pretty spacious. Like those bedrooms were big. Like because we had bunk beds, me and my sister did at a certain point, but then before that we had two beds next to each other, and then one bed, like one like desk, like an office sized desk, like in the corner. Um, and there was still space, like enough space to like have friends over and stuff, and then there was still that section where I said had the old computer with the black and orange and like the floppy disk, and I had my keyboard back there and stuff, and I used to change my clothes back there and stuff, and like my sister had like a fake little kitchen that I think at one point was outside, and then we put it in that part of the bedroom, and we kind of played back there, and we had toy boxes, so we would just shove all of our stuff in the toy boxes, and we had like a dresser. I think my dresser was back behind that little wall. But yeah, that bedroom didn't have like a door. We had like, I don't even know how to explain it. We got these like blinds that were like long blinds that went like the length of a door. So if you think of like how you have like is it Venetian blinds, the ones that are like horizontal? We had those types of blinds, like the ones where you would take the little stick and like either turn it left or right to kind of like open the little the little I don't know what they're called, the little pieces of curtain, or you could pull the string up like for it to like gather up to the top, or you could kind of like hit the little switch with the string at the top, and then it would kind of all unfold and come down, but it was like the length of a door. And I remember they were like a dark purplish, almost pink color, and we just had these blinds that were just huge like that, and so we used that as like a doorway. And I remember I never kept it open. I think it was always kind of closed, or I just fully opened it, and my brother would come in and he would just like barge through the thing. Like sometimes we didn't even put it up. We would just like, because it's like a curtain, you could just move it over. And I think they just screwed it into the top of the doorway, and then like eventually like we got a door, like an actual door, like a physical door was put on. But it's hard for me to like gauge like the age range I was with all this stuff. Like when I got a little bit older, they put an actual door on there, but I was pretty young, like, so it didn't really matter. Like and I remember, yeah, I totally remember that. Like, but yeah, the reason why I'm mentioning that we didn't really have a door is because my dad would cook dinner, and he would cook like more like elaborate meals, and so it would take him longer. He'd be in the kitchen for like hours cooking. Like Sundays we'd barbecue or like whatever, and like he would cook and make a lot of like African dishes and stuff, and we would eat, but it would take longer because he'd make large meals, and then we'd usually have a lot of leftovers and things, and so he'd make huge meals, and it would take a lot longer. Like my favorite thing that we always used to have, I grew up having like oxtail stew. That's probably still my favorite, with all kinds of like greens and like from the garden and all kinds of stuff. And so we would have those foods, and he would cook for hours. And I remember I would just sit, like some days I would sit and just be like watching television, and I had the top bunk, so I'd sit like on the top of my bunk, but like it was like a weird angle, so like you couldn't like see me in there, but from the kitchen you could see the television or hear the television depending where you were in the kitchen. And so like I remember once I was watching something that had Steve Harvey in it, and it was probably on BET. I don't know what it was, but I think there was some show that had Steve Harvey, or maybe it was the Steve Harvey show, and maybe it was like a marathon. I don't remember, but I remember watching like a couple hours of Steve Harvey, and I remember my dad being like, like, do you really think it's okay to be like watching this kind of stuff? And then like, cause I was watching it for like multiple hours or so, And then, because he'd been in the kitchen all that time, and I guess I just wanted to have a day to like veg out, and I don't do that very very often, but I guess, because he was never really home too much because he was always working. Like the days that he was kind of home on occasion, he kind of like got more of a glimpse into our lifestyles of the things we did. So it's like I would do stuff like that all the time, but then like he on occasion would like witness it and just he'd have something to say. Or if we were watching music videos, like hip hop videos, like Wu-Tang Clan. My brother was a big Wu-Tang fan, and he would play a lot of Wu-Tang. We used to like that show Moesha, and it was on UPN. I don't even know the names of the channels anymore, but in LA, UPN was 13. I didn't even notice that it was like black, mostly black, or maybe all black. But one of my friends mentioned that to me, and then I was like, oh, that's right. All the shows on here there are a lot of black people on these shows. But yeah, like I remember, definitely being like culturally, into kind of like black culture music, into just music in general. And I used to watch TBN and that kind of stuff. And some other church stuff. And then on Sundays, like we went to church every Saturday, and then I don't know when I was watching the other church stuff, but on occasion I would watch it. And then that's the majority of what I watched. Like I didn't really watch, I feel like it was a lot, but it wasn't like too excessive. Like mostly I like going outside and playing sports and stuff. But when I was like in my teens or preteens, I did kind of get more into like watching stuff on TV. But it wasn't that long. It was like a couple years. And then I really got into more intellectual stuff. Like I remember there was Link TV, and then like Al Jazeera was on there, and like they showed like clips from Al Jazeera, and I got into like KPFK. I think you can find them on iHeartRadio, like KPFK. I used to listen to something Village. I can't remember the name of it. And I think the lady's name was Sonali Hutkar or something like that. I honestly can't remember. And there was some other show on there. These are radio shows. I don't remember the number of the station, but I know it was KPFK, and it was like talk radio, but it wasn't NPR, and it had like shows on there. And my brother turned me on to that, and so I would listen to a lot of, social topics and things like that. And maybe like early college days and stuff, I started getting into that. But I don't remember. Like the timeline's really kind of weird. But okay, I say all that to mention that that's kind of what my life looked like as far as like tuning into media. A lot of it was like, music videos and stuff like that. And because back then they actually had music video channels where they played music videos, and then they had other types of people that would talk about music or interview musicians, and they had like Behind the Music and like MTV like Unplugged and all these kind of shows that are just like, I don't even know if any of this stuff exists, but you can always look it up. It's a lot of it's on YouTube, a lot of it's like free online. You can search and find anything these days, but I don't know what exactly exists. So yeah, that was something that I noticed. It was like, I don't know when I phased all that kind of stuff out of my life, out of my routine. But yeah, I remember just having a bunch of stuff like that to play, and I don't know, like I don't know. I don't think I was raised in like the calmest of households, but like there was a lot of negative, intensive energy from certain people. But me and my siblings always got along great, and as little kids, like we might have bickered like a little bit, but me and my brother are like a couple years apart, and so we didn't really grow up fighting because we had like maybe when we were really little we did, but once we got a little older, like we were pretty friendly with each other, and like people would say that to us, and it was kind of funny because like we noticed it. But yeah, people would always say to us like, "Oh, like you guys are like friend, like like we never see you guys fight, and like you guys are like friends," and like they would kind of like not tease us, but they would be like, "That's kind of weird," you know. But even today, like we don't really fight. Like we kind of like we know that we can be different people and have our own opinions on life and our own experiences and see things differently, and it doesn't have to be dramatic because of that. Like we have really good boundaries, and I mean, I've definitely made my own mistakes, we've all made mistakes, but it's like none of it has been like, to a point where it's like you have to question your relationship with this person. Like we have a good relationship, and my sister too, but she's younger. She's probably like 8, 9 years younger than me. But I mean, she's cool. We get along. Like, we all have our moments, but we get along. But I remember she kind of grew up. Um, she mentioned later on, I think when she was like in her teens or 20s, she mentioned like she was grateful she grew up with older siblings because she had a good taste in music, and like, yeah, she would always like that was something we kind of, like I don't know. Like, I don't know how I was with her with music. Like, I don't really remember. But I was always playing guitar and stuff, and we shared a room, so I'm pretty sure she knew about it and, like, heard me playing my CDs. I used to play CDs a lot and stuff. But a lot of it was, like, when I look back, it's like because I watched a lot of hip hop, there were a lot of females in hip hop. And especially back then, there were a lot of females, or at least there was a time period where there were females like MC Light, The Brat, who's that lady who made that 5 o'clock in the morning, where you gonna be outside on the corner? I can't remember her name. I think her name was Nonchalant or something like that. I can't remember. There were the more femme ones like Lil Kim and Foxy Brown. These are like pre Cardi B, like, but they were kind of like, I would say maybe like more equivalent to like Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, kind of more on that end. And then there were like, but yeah, I don't really see, other than young MA, I don't really see a whole lot of female kind of mask rappers out there lately, like not at the level that I used to. Like, I remember Queen Latifah, like she was on Living Single, and like I can't remember if she was out, but I feel like maybe she was. And like there were definitely a lot of queer women of color that I came across that were kind of more masked. I didn't really see that anywhere else too much in my life other than in sports. And a lot of the women I knew in sports, when I was playing sports, and I knew some people that I grew up playing sports with, they were kind of like they were athletic, but because we had this whole church life thing, like a lot of them, I would see them mostly on the weekends and stuff, so it's like I always saw them wearing dresses, and they would femme it up and stuff like that. And like me and a couple other people kind of never really were too femme, but most of my athletic friends were kind of like a little femme, at least at church. That's what I saw them wear. But other than church, I don't think they were like usually wearing like skirts and dresses and stuff. They were just athletic. And yeah, so I grew up around a lot of like mask type females, and it's kind of not a lot, but like I was definitely like, I would notice them, and like there was a lot that like it was part of like my life. Like music was part of my life. I played music through church, like guitar. I always liked singing, but it's like I am a bit self-conscious about my voice, so I don't really like to do it in like solo. Like I'll do it as like for fun, like karaoke, or like I like that Smule Sing app on like the app you can get. There's a free version and a paid version, and I like that app a lot. I used to use that more in San Diego. I would go into a parking lot and just like record myself singing covers and stuff, and that's something I miss doing. When you live in the city, it's kind of hard to find spaces to do that because I live in a house where nobody leaves, and I've lived in houses where nobody freaking leaves the house. Like the whole time I've been in this house in LA for almost a year now, I don't think I've had a whole day to myself in this house. Like, unless I leave town and go on a trip on my own where I'm like in a hotel room. So when I go to San Diego or when I go to Vegas or like when I take these little trips around, those are the times when I have my own space to just be alone for like a couple days in a hotel by myself, you know. Usually I don't get that much space. Like usually, like my mom's retired, my dad's been local most of this month, and so I they're there every day, you know. It's like they don't really leave. Like they don't leave and go like do things and then like come back. Like I mean, I know they leave the house a little bit. Like they get groceries and stuff, but a lot of times they'll still order groceries delivered, and like, you know, or one of them is home if the other one's not, now that there's two of them there, you know. But usually they don't go out like together. Like maybe once a month they'll go shop together, and it doesn't take more than like an hour or two max. Like I want to say even less than that. Like they don't really leave the house too much. Like to the point that like the car batteries, like we have two old cars, one that's older than mine and one that's a little bit younger than mine. So my brother's car stays here. My mom drives it. My dad's old car stays here. We've all driven that car. But it's kind of like we have old cars, but their cars, like they don't drive them enough or even start them enough that the car batteries, you know, the car battery went out in one of them, and then the other car, the it has issues, you know, all the time. And so like it doesn't even really go past like 40 miles per hour. The other one doesn't. And so I don't really drive it unless I have to. Like when I thought that one of my financial goals was going to be to get another car very soon, and then I realized I'm not going to do that. But when I thought I was going to actually get a car really soon and sell the one that I drive, my car that's pushing 21 years, and this June it's going to be 21 years old, man. My friend was joking saying that it's going to be old enough to drink. But yeah, my car is going to be of age pretty soon. And yeah, it still runs, but I mean, I worry. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I don't, like I said, I don't drive it to and from San Diego anymore. Like if I have stuff to do out in LA, I kind of don't really drive it anymore. Like I kind of keep it kind of like minimal. And yeah, I've yeah, I've been enjoying though. I've been enjoying, you know, thinking about these topics. Like it's not the religious ones necessarily, and I apologize for posting like a bunch of religious stuff. This just, to me, it's kind of because I grew up in such a heavy religious background. It's probably one of the easiest topics for me to talk about, just because it's so ingrained, you know. So it's like, you know, sometimes I vibe with the topics, even though I know there's a lot of prejudice and a lot of like oppression, and like I don't agree with any of that kind of stuff, and I'm never gonna try to tell somebody join a religion and all this kind of stuff. I don't do that. But you know, I feel like there are other people out there that, you know, clearly have, you know, a similar background, and so I feel like if I just don't talk about it, you know, that's a lot of representation lost, you know, because especially when it comes to queer people of color and black people, like a lot of times we are very influenced by different church groups. It doesn't matter which denomination or religion, but there's definitely spirituality and religion, you know, in a lot of our cultures. And, spirituality, religion, music, sports, like these things are like things that like, when you talk to a lot of black people, when you talk to a lot of black queer people, these are things that come up very often, like, and it's not that that's all people do. I mean, part of it's like a stereotype. I know plenty of black people that don't play any sports, that aren't athletic in any way, that aren't musical in any way, but I knew them through church. So it's kind of like, they still are very involved with church. And it becomes like a social space, a space of like interaction, a space of, community, resources. For a lot of people, it is like a safer space where it's like usually there's racially kind of your own people around a lot of times. And when you throw spirituality in there, it kind of makes it a little more like a deeper kind of, we're connecting on this deeper level over these like spiritual topics and stuff. But it can be really, really toxic and negative too. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it's perfect and good. Like, I think about it. I'm like, if I ever had kids, I still don't really know what I would think about exposing them to church and religion. Like, it's a very controversial topic for me. Like, it's like I was raised in it and I see how I benefited from it, but I also see how it harmed me. So I really, like, I've had like both worlds, of it, and more so benefited, but I've definitely got some religious trauma and all kinds of other stuff, and it's ridiculous. Like, it's so unnecessary, the stuff that people have to deal with. And it can be really triggering too, and I know people don't want to listen to it a lot. And I don't. I go through phases where I'm like I think lately it's just been coming up a lot in my life. Things that people I know have been kind of like talking to me about, and things that I've kind of like heard out in the general public, and just friends of mine that are kind of like involved around, like, people who aren't really even part of the religion, but they kind of want to know about like the culture of the religion that I grew up in, because they're working in environments with a lot of those people now. And so I've just been talking about it a lot more lately, and it's just been coming up in my life just naturally as like my day-to-day. It's been showing up, and so that's what I talk about, what I've been talking about lately, because it's been coming up a lot lately, but it's not necessarily what I prefer to talk about. I have another podcast where I talk about that stuff, but it's not really from like an LGBT perspective necessarily. It's more so just from like, let's call this what it is, sometimes, and just like look at the stuff, at the aspects of like people potentially trying to throw their weight around and control and like create all these like toxic spaces. And it's more of like talk about the controversy of like how it could be better, but there are a lot of people who are just uninformed and prejudiced and just not the best people to have leadership roles, and that's just how it is, But a lot of LGBT people grow up, especially in the US, grow up around these types of environments. But yeah, for me, like being a black person and being an LGBTQ plus person, and then that's kind of where, when I was growing up, where I could kind of see myself a little bit more, was like through music videos. I mean, this is like pre-YouTube. Like, I mean, maybe YouTube was around, but like at certain points of it, but like most people weren't like engaging with it. Like, it wasn't like it is now. People couldn't monetize. It wasn't like people like creating like a whole brand and all this. It was basically like where you post your stuff. Like, it was like early social media days. Like, it wasn't as organized as it is now, where people have full-on businesses and like, like they have niches and stuff like that. It was more like you would just be posting like rogue topics. Like, I would post stuff like some of my early videos. I think I was eating one of these, like, there was a new type of Hershey's Kiss that came out. I remember eating one of those and explaining what I thought about it. I remember I did have some topics where I talked about church related stuff. I would play some guitar covers and record myself, posted that up. It was just fun, just like experimenting with recording and posting stuff. And I just only expected, oh, my friends might see it, or like I can send these videos to my friends or family. And like that's all it really was. It was kind of like a step up from Photo Bucket. That's kind of how I used it, because I was like, oh, I can post like better video content here, and it was easier to like share it that way. So those were some of my first posts. A post of my friend playing music at one of my friend's wedding receptions and stuff like that. Like a lot of it was music, a lot of it was like I think I mostly consumed music video content on there. But that was usually the role that it played in my life earlier, was just like, oh, like Photo Bucket is a little limited, and then I got into YouTube, but it wasn't like I didn't have like a niche. There was nothing like that. It was more like home video, my like videos I would take when I was out and about, stuff like that. And it was just a place to post stuff up if I wanted people to see it, knowing that like anybody could see it, but I posted it up for people to see it if they wanted to. And yeah, that's, I guess, I don't know, this isn't very focused. But I'm gonna tag onto the end of this, April 26th. I'm trying to do the daily kind of like what I've been doing, daily and post it on here, but I don't know. I've been trying, guys. I'm trying. But yeah, I've had like weird brain fog. I haven't slept good for a lot of days, and last night I definitely pushed the melatonin. But I'll get into that. I'll get into like the daily stuff, and post that up, because I've got to post for April 26th. I feel like I'm staggering these episodes too, like the dailies. I'm kind of staggering them a little bit. Because right now I'm recording this on Wednesday, April 26th. But I feel like I just posted today what I recorded the day before yesterday, and then posted the April 25th daily on there. Because I record them sometimes later in the day. Like I've been recording them in little sections. And so if I record it later in the day, it's like, and I'm kind of missing posts here and there. I've noticed that, because I'm like a little off with like what I'm posting. But I want to do some writing. I haven't been writing a whole lot. It's hard for me to write when my head's not too organized. But yeah, stay tuned for the daily if you want to listen to that as well. All right, so for the daily, this is a daily for April 26th, 2023. Maybe the very end of April 25th, 2023. So I think I left off at my recording when I was leaving from the gym. I found my wallet in my gym bag in the wrong pocket, but it was there nonetheless. And then, which is good. And then I went from there into, I don't know what I was talking about actually when I was driving from the gym, but yeah, like the gym yesterday went pretty well. The end of my day yesterday went really weird, but not in a bad way. It was just unexpected, So I did mention that I had C4, probably about 100 milligrams worth of caffeine in the C4, because I had a half scoop yesterday, but no coffee. And then I try not to have coffee on the same days that I have, I try not to have coffee on the same days that I have hope that these people aren't gonna shut off the power. I see they're doing construction. Okay, they're going the other direction. They have, every now and then, there are these companies that come and they start working on the power lines and all this other kind of stuff. And it's happened a couple times recently where they tell us what day they're going to do it, and then they shut off the power mostly till like 5 p.m. or something. And I'm not prepared for it today, but yeah, sometimes they say it's going to last till like 11 a.m. or something, and then it goes to like 3 or 4 or 5. So they've done that a couple times. I don't remember it happening before, way back, but probably because I was out all day those times. I don't know if it's just something they're doing this year, but I feel like they've done it like 3 or 4 times this year already. In 2023. But anyways, yeah, I saw a truck and I thought that's what it was. So yeah, yesterday was just kind of strange for me. I did the gym thing. Had the, I didn't really notice like too much of a pump yesterday, but I think I've just been exhausted. My sleep hasn't been too good, and I've been kind of ignoring it, but I do notice, like, I do get grumpy, grouchy, and I kind of find myself wondering why, and I'm like, I think it's because I just don't sleep good sometimes, and, there's really nothing that can help that. Like, there's nothing that can substitute for lack of sleep. But, yeah, yesterday I had this experience after the gym where, I showered and then prepared, like, my protein shake was already in the freezer, so it was a little slushy, which was how I like it, and then I had some leftovers. So the night before, I guess my mom had made like this kind of low salt meatloaf and potatoes, and there was like a bowl with some leftovers of that in there, and I had that, and so I ate the meatloaf, I ate the potatoes, I had most of the protein shake, and I started doing this meditation. I don't remember what time it was. I think I was watching Freaks and Geeks while I was eating, because I started rewatching that show during this week. So I was watching 1 or 2 episodes of that. It was like a pirate stream, like on fmovies.to. You gotta kind of like click off all the ads and stuff and like try not to get your stuff hacked. But I mean, yeah, like, it's best to use VPN, like, definitely, but, sometimes I don't, in all honesty. And, yeah, so I had that, and I was watching, for free on there, and then, I started listening. I was like, well, let me try to incorporate some meditation every day. I don't know if I'm really going to do it every day, but let me start to incorporate meditation every day. So I sat down and I, laid down, and I was like, let me meditate some. So I've talked about this guy that I listen to, Channel Higher Self. His name is Lincoln, and there's a video that he posted not long ago that is about, it has the word success in it, something about success. It's like 3 hours long. So first, not yesterday, but I've listened to it in multiple stages. First I got to 30 minutes in, then I listened to another 5 minutes another day, and then from 35 minutes in total, I listened yesterday from minute 35 through up until like an hour and 20 minutes, and I realized I kind of was listening to that and like drifted off to sleep a little bit. So this was sometime between, dude, I don't remember, sometime between, when was it? I don't remember when. I don't remember when. It was sometime between. I think I woke up around 3. So I want to say sometime between 2:15 and 3 I slept. So it was like 45 minutes or so. I kind of drifted off, 45 minutes or less. And I woke up and I was groggy. I was like, "Oh man, I'm groggy." And I thought I was going to have like a phone chat with some friends. I wasn't sure, but earlier in the day someone had mentioned 4 p.m. and I was pushing all day. I was like, "Dude, like can I even make it 4 till 4?" cuz I was like really tired. Uh and I guess it all hit me and I napped. Like, it's weird. The reason why I say it's weird is because, like, I had woken up early yesterday. I had eaten on time, but I also had the caffeine in me. And I rarely nap. And in addition to rarely napping, I rarely nap with like, if I have, like, C4 in my system, like a stimulant, for me, that's even more than, like, coffee and tea. Like, that stuff usually keeps me up. It doesn't usually put me to sleep. And to be sleeping like in the afternoon like that, not even at night, I was like, this is weird because I don't usually sleep in the middle of the day. Like, on rare occasion I will nap, but like that was weird for me. And so it just proved all these things I've been saying these last few days, how my energy is a little bit off. But I did get back into the gym for the first time yesterday, so I'm hoping in the next couple of days I'll start feeling normal. But yeah, I feel like the brain fog comes from this melatonin, because I think, so yesterday was Tuesday, so that means Monday night I had, am I going to get this wrong? I had about 4 or 5 milligrams of melatonin. Last night I had, Tuesday night I had about 9 milligrams of melatonin. Because I was like, I am sleeping, like, I'm going to go to bed. And I was dozing off by like before 10 a.m. I was getting before 10 p.m. I was getting tired, which is good. I was like, I need to sleep early. I was probably asleep by 10:30 p.m. Woke up around 6 this morning. But yeah, before last night, I had a nice, much needed, lengthy chat with a close person I know, and it was very helpful. Like, I got to kind of, I hope I wasn't like unloading too much, but I got to talk a lot about just kind of this experience, this whole imposter syndrome experience, and procrastination, and avoidance, and all that kind of stuff that has to do with pushing myself to be ready for this next career move. And I'm definitely feeling, there's definitely pressure I'm putting on myself. I'm gonna get there, but I really have been like way more engaged with like maybe like the gym, with podcasting, the beach, blogging, and then like resting. That kind of takes more of my time than studying. And then also the foggy brain stuff doesn't help. And it's possible that like the cannabis is also contributing to the fogginess. But I feel like I'm, not too heavy with it. Like I vaped last night, but I didn't have any edibles. And then I vaped this morning after breakfast, and I haven't had any edibles. But I did it this morning because I was having this like back pain, and because it's Weed Wednesday, so I was like, whatever. But I don't know. Like, it's something I'm debating about if I want to switch it up or not. I don't really know. It's kind of another form of avoidance in a weird way. It's like, well, I have this in my system, so I can't do anything. I can't go anywhere. I can't do anything. So, I can't. I'll just like watch videos or something instead of actually doing what I wanted to do, or studying, in particular studying. But it's not like I'm not doing anything. Like, I'm definitely studying analytics. I'm studying SEO. I'm studying kind of like algorithms and things like that. Like I'm not doing anything, and I'm eating healthy, and I'm getting back to exercising this week. But you know, sometimes I take a while off. I'd say like maybe about once a month. I take about almost a week off, for my own personal reasons, and that's fine. But I'm still trying to eat pretty healthy. My folks kind of know I'm trying to eat kind of healthy, so they kind of, you know, kind of take that into account a little bit. But yeah, I mean, my weight, I did a weigh-in this morning. My weight is about 0.5 pounds, like half a pound down from where it was at, I think the last weigh-in I did, I think it said April 10th, and today's the 26th. I was trying to weigh like once a week, but I skipped last week. But yeah, it helped to talk to my friend yesterday. It was a big chunk out of my evening, but it was nice. It was a nice big chunk out of my evening. But I think we started talking around 4:30, and like I watched the sunset at the beach, and so it was that long, you know. But it was nice. Like, we don't get to talk too much lately because we're both busy. Like, I am busy, even though I'm like still like I'm not focused, but I'm busy, if that makes sense. And like I'm kind of like in the background trying to build up all this stuff, you know. I do find it valuable. I do want to write a lot more. I'm gonna get back online today on my Amazon books and see what the heck is going on with that, because I thought they would have been ready, published by now. I don't really know what's going on with that, so I need to like learn more. I didn't learn a lot. I just posted to see what would happen. But yeah. So yeah, and I've got some like a little bit of marketing to pay for. Sorry, I keep opening the windows, guys. It's hot in here. I'm in the car, and it's like the sun barely started coming out, brighter behind the clouds, and now it's like, yeah, it's busting through the marine layer, and it's freaking hot. It's gonna get up to, I think, 68 degrees today or something, or 63 or 68 or something. But let me roll down the windows. Sorry. I know it's got to be annoying listening to... I know I screw up the quality with recording outside and driving around and being at the beach, and there's always like people, but you know, I feel like that's just naturally how I want to record. Keep it as like a raw part of my day. And because, you know, this morning I spent like 45 minutes posting stuff that I'm kind of like back entering, you know, stuff that I haven't, not a lot of stuff, but just from the past day or so that I hadn't really posted. And it took me like 45 minutes just to upload whatever today's uploads were. The uploads that are actually posting on April 26th. And that's on 2 of the 4 of my podcasts. I have 2 other podcasts that I have episodes I need to record that I still haven't even recorded quite yet. So I definitely am taking time with these things. I'm not going fast. And it does take me a long time of my day, like a lot out of my day. And I'm going to try and eat lunch around noon today. It's 11:41 right now. And yeah, so in between, let me see what I actually wrote, because I write in my apps note sometimes, like the stuff that I'm doing, so I don't like forget. Man. So and then yeah, so I'm kind of writing in that yesterday I did the gym, nap was like 2:15 to 3 p.m. or so. That was the weirdest part of yesterday, was the napping, because that just threw me off. But it was good to talk to my friend after. That was nice. Like, sometimes it's needed, but I do get pretty antisocial, because I'm doing all this other stuff, and even though it's fun, it's like, it is still a little bit intellectually and socially draining, if that makes sense. Especially because I have in the back of my mind other stuff that I'm trying to do, so I don't really know. But I'm gonna try to work out today, work out from home, and try to go to the beach later. Maybe. That's a maybe. We'll see. Or maybe I'll go to the gym later. I don't really know. I feel like I kind of want to stay home, but I don't really know. But yeah, I did laundry today. So this morning I woke up probably around 6 something. I can't remember specifically. Ooh, there's a little spider. Get away. Dude, I hate these little dudes. There's always these like teeny tiny spiders. Now I see why I got spider webs all over my freaking car. No. Get out. Will you please go away, man? I hate these little things. I'm trying to get rid of this guy. Sorry. I hate spiders. I don't even care if they're small. Like, I don't want them. I don't want them touching me. I didn't kill it though. I put him outside nicely. He's not even outside. How'd you get back in here? Whatever. It's not gonna hurt me. I just don't want him in here with me. How'd he get back in here? I tried to put it on a piece of paper and toss it out. Dang. Get out. Sorry. It's hanging on by its web and doesn't want to leave. I try not to kill them though. Some of them, they're like too big and ugly and juicy, and I'm like, I gotta get rid of it, like, but yeah, the tiny ones, I kind of leave them alone. Like, they're just living their lives, doing their thing, and we need them. They're part of the ecosystem. We need them. But yeah, they build webs all over my car, my mirrors. And I wonder sometimes, I'm like, why do I always have these like spider webs all over my windows? But I park near plants outside in the driveway, lining the driveway, and I think they just live in the plants, and then they come out and they start building webs on stuff, and they build webs all over the outside of my car mirrors. And it's funny because I just got a car wash maybe Monday, I don't remember. So yeah, this little dude was already starting to try to build a web. But yeah, so today, the rest of my day, let's see how many episodes I can post. And I want to do some blogging, but I feel like it takes me so long to blog. Like, I love writing so much, but it takes me so long to blog that, like, I don't know. Like, I feel like because I don't have, like, a normal social life anymore, it's, like, my content's a little stale. Like, I feel like I'm posting a little bit about stuff that I consume versus, like, my lifestyle or just stuff that I witness and experience lately. And, kind of just putting ideas out there, um, but yeah, I don't know. I'm also trying not to spend a lot of money, and the more I drive around, the more I wear down the car. It does take gas money. Like, I try to stick to like $10 of gas a week, if that. Because I'm only really sticking around to my little areas. Um, and I do buy stuff online, but I'm trying not to buy too much stuff. Um, and I got this Vegas trip coming up, so man, I'm a good kind of busy, but I'm definitely busy, and I have drained energy to show for it. So, but it is a lot of thinking. I was kind of talking about that with a friend. Is like, I feel like it's so much more draining to not have like a very, very, like, I do have like a schedule. Like I said, like I try to eat lunch on time. I try to eat breakfast on time. I try to wake up early. I try to eat dinner on time. But I do have a very, a schedule that's very, how shall I say? It's really varied. It's varied throughout the day, throughout the week. Like I try to podcast in the daytime, but we're almost pushing noon now, and it's like, so. And I do feel a little more comfortable recording outdoors. That's another thing. But then, like, as it's no longer cold anymore and we're having sunny, hot days, which is nice, which I appreciate, but that makes it a little bit more complicated. But yeah. Because I'm still in the driveway. Like, I'm not, like, out away from the house at all. And I know there's people who are like, my folks will be in the backyard sometimes and they're like gardening, and I know that like there's a gate right there by the driveway, so it's like I'm not completely in the clear of people like overhearing me and stuff. But that's, how it is. You live with people, you live in a city, it's really hard to get space to yourself. Unless you have your own place, and even then you're still sharing close by properties with the neighbors. Like, our neighbor's house, I think the space between our house and theirs is, let's call it 6 feet, maybe 8 feet max. Like, I don't think it's that far. And then the house on the other side, same thing, probably about maybe as wide as one car can fit, and then like a foot maybe on each side on our end, and then on their side of the fence maybe another 3-4 feet. So yeah. But I don't really know. I'm kind of I'm figuring it out. I think it's okay. I still track that I'm being productive and everything. And I feel like I'm being productive enough. But I don't know. I've never done anything like this in my life before. It's so different. So I'm trying it, and I'm definitely documenting the process. My part of like recording these dailies, and again, it might not be every day, but my point of recording them is so that I can try my best to do better at focusing the content on the actual topic, and then instead of like throwing in all these details about my day to day, because I know I do tend to do that when I talk. I'm just like, I'll go off tangent and start like talking about, oh, what I did yesterday, and oh, what I did this morning, or whatever, and it's not really on topic. So I do try to I'm like, let me just use this part of the space to be able to just record whatever and just post it as often as I record these, just post them up. So it's going to make it so that the content is longer form, but at the same time, uh, I'll try to say when I'm going to put the daily segment in, and hopefully if people want to skip it, they can skip it, you know, because that's going to be the point where I just start rambling. But some people like the rambling, some people like the day-to-day stuff. It's kind of more personal, but kind of more, I'm comfortable sharing it. Like, it's not, like, I don't share every detail. It's just kind of like a little bit of play-by-play, but it's not so much play-by-play that it's like it's not too, like, I don't know. My days are kind of the same every day, but I do kind of wing it. Like, today I'm kind of having some aspects that I'm kind of gonna wing it. Like, I don't really have like a strict plan for some days, and so that's fine. I'm fine with it. But yeah, I'm doing the basics. I mean, that's kind of what I was trying to do, is just get my life balanced enough to be able to do the basics. But I think the part that I'm struggling with too is like thinking about working full time, a 32 or 40-hour work week, and thinking about working full time. What will that look like? And if I'm working full time, or once I begin that part of the process of things, once I start getting back to working full time, you know, am I going to be able to maintain, what I've been developing over the past 3-4 months? I do worry, because I did get way off track. Like, how things look for me now in April compared to how they looked in December, like the end of 2022, when I was like done with working the job I was at in mental health. Oh man, like, it's definitely a challenge. Like, and I know that I can go too far in the other direction to a point where I'm like not functioning too good, and I don't want to go there again, and I can't really tell, because I think part of me thinks, if I get back into a 9 to 5 or an 8 to 4 or whatever, I'm going to be able to focus better, Then another part of me is like, I need a lot more flexibility. So, it's a lot. It's just a lot of change. It's been a lot of change for almost a whole year now. We've almost come a whole year full circle of when I moved. So in June, that's going to mark when I moved back to LA. But I do want to be working by sometime in May, which means I'm really going to have to push. But I do want to be employed by May. Because by the time Pride rolls around, I want to have a job. I want to start getting out more, meeting some more people around that time. But yeah, I'm pushing myself a little bit. But yeah, today I think that's the plan, is just work out and yeah, just get in a workout, I guess. and keep doing what I'm doing. I got other posts to do, so I got another post I do want to put out, and then I do have some other recordings I've been sitting on that I need to record. I just haven't sat and had taken the time to do it. So I think maybe first I'll take my lunch break because that's going to be on time. Let me just keep things on time and then record after and see how that goes. So I'm going to take my noon break in about 3 minutes. It's going to be noon. I mean, I don't have to eat like on the dot, but I'm trying to eat at noon. I'm trying to have breakfast around 8. I shifted my schedule a little bit earlier. I was having breakfast at like 8:30 and lunch around like 1. And I'm like, let me push it a little earlier. So, and then have a snack around 10. Today's the first day that I did like a 10 o'clock snack. So I might keep doing the 10 o'clock snacks. But I do kind of like my little siesta lifestyle I've set up for myself. It kind of suits me. But getting work done later doesn't really suit me because my energy is pretty depleted by the end of the day, and then I try to focus on like my sleeping habits. So yeah, but I've definitely got a lot of vitamin D in me by sitting out here in the sun. And other than the brain fog, I feel all right. I'm gonna watch more Freaks and Geeks during lunch, and then just kind of unwind a little bit because I've been on kind of most of the morning. So I want to focus, at least if I'm gonna be, not doing the studying stuff. I want to be focused on the stuff that I am gonna do. I mean, and let me just give myself that. But yeah, so I'm gonna finish this water. And that's kind of what I'm gonna do for the rest of my day. I know that's not a very detailed explanation of what I plan to get up to, but there is a lot of flexibility in there, and I am gonna see if I can try and keep things pretty flexible, because I do feel like naturally I am kind of still needing that. So I'm just gonna try to pay attention to what I feel like I need and do what I feel like I need to do. Even if it's a little hard to tell sometimes. Like, I can have a hard time telling if I'm doing what I need to do or if I'm procrastinating. That is kind of a hard thing for me to tell right now. Is like, am I procrastinating or am I doing what I need for myself? That's gonna be my $1 million question. But alright, we hit noon, so let me start uploading stuff. And with that, thanks for listening.